Hi, guys, and welcome to Healing Hearts with Sarah. Today, we're going to talk about how to rewire your nervous system. And you've probably seen videos like this before, but I think this one's going to be slightly different because rather than just explaining how to handle your nervous system when it starts flaring up, I want to teach you how to do some deeper level healing. Have you ever felt like you're constantly in survival mode? Your fight or flight is constantly turned on. Maybe you feel like you can't take control of your emotions, and if that's the case, then this video could be for you. I really hope you watch this video to the very end, because I think once I explain and you have a better understanding of this deeper level healing, everything's all going to click into place. So first, before we actually talk about how to heal the nervous system, I need to explain what the nervous system is. So imagine we are a computer. The nervous system is what's going to be your hard drive. Your emotions and everything else would be what I would class as your software. But your nervous system is what controls everything. And this is constantly scanning. It's constantly scanning inside your body, but it's also constantly scanning your area around you. Now, because of this constant scanning, a lot of people that have been through trauma find that their nervous system is stuck on survival mode, that fight or flight response. So having a regulated nervous system is the difference between always having anxiety and feeling calm. It is the difference between feeling safe or perceived danger. And I say perceived danger because a lot of the time that is what it is. You've been stuck in this survival mode for so long that your body automatically is looking out for dangers constantly scanning your surroundings, looking for that danger. And half the time, there isn't even a danger there, but your body is doing what it should do to be able to protect you. But what once protected you growing up isn't serving you anymore. It's giving you heightened emotions. You're restless at night. You're not sleeping properly. You've probably got a really poor appetite. You're on high alert all the time. And that is absolutely exhausting. Nobody wants to be on high alert all the time. Today, I'm going to teach you how to try and do that deeper level healing and hopefully turn calm and safe into your nervous system's baseline. So your nervous system has two different settings. It's got the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. And the problem is when you've been through trauma or you've been through abuse, or maybe you had not the best childhood in the world, your nervous system kind of gets stuck on that fight or flight mode. And it's really hard to get out of that, especially if you don't know what you're doing. When you're in fight or flight mode, your body is constantly perceiving a danger. You're constantly stressed out. You're full of anxiety. When you manage to be able to turn that off, you get into the rest and digest mode, which is your sense of calm, being grounded, and just overall feeling generally just a lot better in yourself. And you're not alone in this. A lot of people's nervous system is stuck in that survival mode. And being stuck in survival mode can look like various different things. It can be sleep disorders, it can be anxiety. Maybe you're a people pleaser, or worse still, you have a habit of self-sabotaging. These are all things that you're doing because your nervous system is trying to protect you. Almost like your nervous system doesn't trust that you are going to know the difference between perceived danger and real danger. So it constantly sees everything as a danger, because then that way at least you're safe. That doesn't work. Seeing everything as a danger kind of stops you being able to live the life that you want to live. If you're walking down the street and you're constantly scared that somebody's going to jump out at you, you're going to be on edge that whole time. Maybe you've walked down the street 100 times and you know for a fact it's safe, But your body is telling you, your body's on high alert, and it's telling you that somebody's going to jump out of that bush. Chances are nobody's ever going to jump out of that bush, but your body has convinced you that that is the case. So you're going to feel like you're on high alert. Also, when you have a dysregulated nervous system, you tend to become ill a lot easier because your body is constantly working overtime. It means that your immune system doesn't work as well because everything's all going into the nervous system. So imagine you have 2 buckets. And if you put all your water into the nervous system, you're going to have no water left for your immune system. They both kind of almost fight against each other when you're in fight or flight mode. So you'll probably find that you get sicker easier, you're mentally and physically exhausted a lot quicker. Scientists have proven that your nervous system, if it's dysregulated, can affect your emotional health, your physical health, and your mental health. It can affect relationships and learning to be able to trust people, and also affect your abilities to be able to make decisions. And healing your nervous system isn't about being less nervous and less anxious. You're always going to have disappointments and things like that come up in life. That's just a part of life. But by healing your nervous system, you're able to look at them more rationally and realize that you are safe. So it's teaching your body that it is now safe. And when your nervous system's regulated, it's designed to be able to tell you whether there is danger, not perceived danger. So worrying about what could happen, at the end of the day, you want your nervous system to be able to understand when there's a real threat there, when there's a real danger, and not perceived danger. You want it to react to what is true and not what could be. I believe the root cause of an unregulated nervous system is a lack of trust. It's almost like your nervous system doesn't trust that you know the difference between perceived danger and real threat. And I want you to ask yourself, why is your body perceiving this as a danger? And a lot of people might not even know the answer to that. In most cases, you'll probably find that this stems from a traumatic experience in your life, maybe childhood trauma, neglect, emotional abuse, because a dysregulated nervous system is a survival strategy. At some point, your body learned that it wasn't safe and it had to constantly protect you. So first of all, I would like you to figure out where that original thought process came from. What made you feel so unsafe? What made you believe that there was so much danger out there? What was it that changed in your life that made you not trust anymore? Like I said, the thing that once kept you safe is now just causing you discomfort. It's like being worried about everything, and it kind of almost stopping you from doing stuff. So, for example, not asking your boss for that pay rise that you know for a fact you deserve, but you don't ask because you're scared of the confrontation. You're scared of being rejected, so therefore you just don't do it. It's not texting the boy that you like because you don't want to be turned down. You're scared of the rejection. It's like not going out with a group of people because you're worried that they won't accept you for who you are. Now, these aren't actually dangers, and if you look at them more closely, if you don't get that pay rise, well, at least you asked. There's no danger there, but your body will tell you, oh my God, this is dangerous, so we can't do this. So it stops you from doing it. Not messaging that boy that you like. If he rejects you, he rejects you. At the end of the day, that's his loss, not yours. It didn't cause you any harm. It might have felt a little bit uncomfortable, but it didn't harm you. So therefore, what have you got to lose? And being worried about not being accepted with that group of friends, well, how are you going to know if you don't try? And even if they don't like you, that doesn't mean that you're in danger. Your nervous system's going to make you feel like you're in danger because that's what it perceives as a danger because it has got so used to being in that fight or flight mode. But the chances are that you're going to go out with this group of people and you might even make some really good friends. But again, if your nervous system is stopping you from doing these things because of the perceived danger that could come, you're missing out on so much in life. At the end of the day, it's a lack of trust. At the core of all this, it is a lack of trust. It's a lack of trust in yourself, a lack of trust in your decision making, a lack of trust in others, and that uncertainty of not knowing. And at the end of the day, that's your nervous system saying that it doesn't trust you to be able to handle whatever's coming your way. You are the only person that can convince your nervous system that you are now safe. You're the only person that can convince yourself that there is no longer a danger. It doesn't need to perceive that danger because that danger isn't there. And you have to tell yourself over and over and over again. It's not something that you just, oh, I'm safe, I'm fine, I can handle this. It's not just saying it once. You have to do it repeatedly. It's like anything. So imagine your brain is your brain is a muscle at the end of the day, and you wouldn't go to the gym and lift up one weight and do one rep and think that's it, that's it done. No, you have to constantly convince yourself that you are now safe. You're no longer in that danger that you once were. Life is safe. You can handle anything coming your way, but you need to convince yourself that you can do it, and you need to keep convincing yourself. There's no point in saying, I can handle this once. Nothing's going to be built. So no muscle's going to be built by doing it once. But the more you do it, the more reps that you do, the stronger that muscle becomes, and the easier it is to convince yourself that you are now safe. Now we're going to talk about how you can actually do that, to be able to expand your capacity, to be able to handle anything that comes your way without automatically jumping into that survival mode again. The thing is, stress and discomfort will still be something that is part of your life, but it won't feel like a danger anymore. And there are tools out there, and I call them tools because they don't actually get to the root of the problem. But there's things that you can do to kind of help, like breath work, cold plunges, lying with your feet up against the wall, screaming into a pillow, or somatic practices that can help. And I'm not discounting them in any way because they are beneficial. But the problem is when you do the breath work, you've already got to that breaking point. To be able to use those tools, you've already got to that point where you are breaking. And I want to try and teach you how to not even get to that breaking point. These tools will help center you. They'll help you feel more grounded. I'm not discounting them, like I said, but they're not getting to the root cause of it all. And they are brilliant tools in the moment, but what happens if you didn't actually need them in the first place? Somatic tools can be absolutely wonderful for some people, but they don't reprogram your subconscious. They don't rewire your brain so you no longer feel that those dangers are there. Rewiring your conscious beliefs actually changes the definition of what you perceive as being danger or not. It's almost like an alarm going off in your head. And it's the difference between being able to manage that alarm and not causing triggers to set that alarm off in the first place. If you rely on those tools, the cold plunges, the breath work, the screaming into a pillow, the somatic practices, then that is proof that you are not finding that deeper level of healing. And it's confirmation that that deeper level hasn't been addressed. Your nervous system still doesn't feel safe. Let me explain this another way. So, you have a boat in water, and the boat's got a hole at the bottom, and the water's filling in. You've got your bucket, that's your somatic tools, right? You've got your bucket, and you're scooping the water out. You know, you can keep scooping this water out, and yes, it might make the water level lower, but it's just going to rise back up again. You're going to have to keep scooping. Unless you get to the bottom of that boat and you fix that hole, you're going to be constantly scooping for the rest of your life. So this is about healing that deeper level, fixing the hole so the water can't get in the first place. I'm going to be talking about how to repair that deeper level right now. First, I want you to identify what is making you feel unsafe. And these will be patterns that you have convinced yourself over the years. Maybe you're worried that if you take a rest, the whole world will fall apart. Or taking a rest means that you're lazy. Maybe you're worried about standing your ground because you're worried that that conflict would mean that they will leave you. Maybe you're scared that if you say no, you're going to get rejected. Look at the areas where you feel most stuck and figure out what it is that triggers you. Now, I want to stress that you are not broken for feeling this way. True healing takes time, and maybe just start with one of these negative thought processes at a time. Take that 5 minutes rest. And then remind yourself afterwards, whenever you've taken that 5 minutes rest, that everything didn't fall apart. Everything is exactly the same as it was before you had that rest. So therefore, it was a perceived danger that wasn't even there. Maybe start with little things. So if you're scared of conflict, especially in a relationship, you're scared of speaking your mind to your partner, maybe just disagree little, like little disagreements. So say they want to make spaghetti bolognese for dinner. Maybe say, I don't really fancy that tonight. Can we have such and such instead? It's about teaching yourself that you can speak your mind. And I'm not saying go out and have that massive argument that you've been waiting to have for so long. You know, that's probably the worst thing you can do, especially if you're scared of conflict. But maybe just saying little no's, you know. Your friend wants you to go out. Oh, no, not tonight, sorry. I've planned to have a bath and read a book. It's about creating the opposite reaction to what you think is going to happen. Rewiring takes time. It takes practice. And it's not about fixing everything in one go. So you pick lasagna for dinner instead of spaghetti bolognese, and guess what? Your boyfriend didn't walk out on you. He didn't leave you. Confrontation doesn't mean that it's going to be an ending. And once you take these tiny, tiny little steps and you realize that that is not the case, and you keep doing it, and those steps start getting a little bit bigger, and you start being able to speak your mind a little bit more, you'll realize that you're not in danger. That person's not going to leave just because you speak your mind. The whole world doesn't suddenly collapse around you just because you've taken 10 minutes rest to yourself. It's not selfish to put your own needs first. It's not. And this isn't about changing your thinking. It's about changing how you experience life. Gently, in little manageable ways. Start by disagreeing with somebody that you trust. It's about proving to yourself that it is safe to speak your mind. Like I said at the start of this, your nervous system is like a computer. So everything you do gets downloaded and you need to rewire new software. You need to challenge that old belief system so your nervous system can store that and realize that it wasn't dangerous in the first place. But don't push this too far. It's about staying gentle through that discomfort. If you're scared of heights, you're not going to force yourself to go up to the Eiffel Tower, are you? Or maybe you're scared of public speaking. You're not going to stand on a stage with 2,000 people. You have to build up to that. Maybe just walk close to the edge of a mountain and look down and realize that you're safe. Maybe talk to a room with a group of your friends and speak your mind. Raise a toast, for example. And once you realize you can do that in little steps, you'll be able to eventually move on to bigger. But it's about being gentle with yourself while you rewire your nervous system, while you prove to yourself that you are safe now. and realizing that it wasn't as scary as you thought it was going to be. And the reason why you have to do this gently is if you go at it really, really harsh, all you're going to end up doing is proving your nervous system right. Maybe you're being mean to yourself, being scared of it in the first place. Like, I'm stupid. Why am I even scared of this? Don't do that. By judging yourself or feeling shame for yourself, all you're doing is teaching your nervous system that this was scary. I shouldn't have done it in the first place. And all it'll do is activate that triggering alarm. It will just reinforce that negative experience. Going at it gently, though, is showing yourself kindness. It's being curious without any judgment. It's about honoring yourself and reminding yourself that you can handle this. The gentleness in this approach will slowly start to release that danger, that perceived danger, and ultimately rewire your nervous system. And once you've done this, I want you to notice and celebrate those achievements. You said no and they didn't leave you. You know, you looked over the edge of that cliff and you didn't fall. You spoke up at that wedding and gave a toast, and it was a wonderful experience. Celebrate the evidence. And lastly, I want you to keep repeating this. You're not just building a tolerance to the discomfort. You're eliminating the danger altogether. You're eliminating the problem from the source. You're changing your beliefs so these don't trigger you in the first place. Now, you might have tried this in the past and it might not have worked for you, but if that's the case, there's probably one of 3 reasons why it didn't work for you. Maybe it's because you went in too deep too fast. You decided to climb up that Eiffel Tower. You decided to have that big argument that you've been harboring for so long. You went in too fast, too harshly. You weren't gentle about it. So all you'd done was reinforce that was a danger. Some people, it's a case of, because they're so used to it, that's familiarity, so therefore they'll keep doing it. It's being able to say, see, told you they would leave if I'd done that. Told you I'd get rejected. All you're doing is reaffirming to your nervous system that there was a reason to be scared in the first place, when there wasn't. If you go too deep, too fast, you are just reaffirming to your nervous system that there was a reason for that to be triggered in the first place. Like I said, start off slowly. Disagree with somebody who you trust. Take that little step higher in the mountain next time you go. You don't have to do it. You don't have to get to the top of that mountain the first day. It could take you weeks, it could take you months, it could take you years. It doesn't matter how long it takes you, but eventually you will get to the top just by taking one more step forward. Another reason why this might not have worked for you in the past is because you're missing that co-regulation. So what I mean by that is having a supportive partner, for example. Having a hug releases a hormone called oxytocin, and that hormone's needed to feel safe. Oxytocin is the feelings of connection. It's feeling like you're safe, you're seen, and you're supported. Having someone that understands what you're going through, or at least tries to understand what you're going through, and understands that you're trying to rewire your nervous system, and having that support network is going to be so beneficial. I'm not saying you can't do it on your own, because of course you can. But having somebody there that can give you a hug at the end of the day, that can remind you that the reason why you're doing this, that can be so helpful. And the third reason why you've tried this in the past and it's not worked for you is because you need to be externally safe before you can try and rewire your nervous system. If you're still in a toxic relationship, if you still have a nasty boss or two-faced friends, you're not going to be able to regulate yourself when you're still surrounded in that negative energy. If you are in an unsafe environment, you need to change your surroundings before you can even start trying to regulate your nervous system. And a healthy nervous system isn't always calm, but it isn't stuck. It's responsive. It will respond to real dangers, not perceived dangers. The goal is to start trusting life again and knowing the difference between stress and danger. Now, guys, if you stayed to the end of this video, I really do appreciate you so much from the bottom of my heart. And I really hope you got some value from this video. If you did get to the end of this video, please stick a green emoji in the comments so I know. And thank you so much for staying with me. In the next video, we are going to talk about being in a relationship while you're still healing, and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we'll talk about that in the next video. Thank you so much, guys. Lots and lots of love. I really appreciate you, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.